Hey y'all, FirstClass 1972 signing in. Today we're finishing up this set of Kia 2.4 liter cylinder heads. So we're only going to aim at the valve tip and that's it. We want to make sure we hammer the valve pretty hard. So a double tap is fine. We do this test now because if that keeper is going to come out, we want that right now, not when it's inside the engine. Now it's time to clean the camshaft saddles, because now it is the final assembly. I'm going to go ahead and use WD-40. This is the cam bearing shell for this head. We can tell because this head has a groove, as you can see here. The oil galleries on the bearing shell needs to line up with the oil galleries on the head, because that's where the oil is going to flow through. So you see those big ports right here? The intake ports. So that's where that solid lifter is going to go. So, as we know, here is the intake, and this is the exhaust. These are your exhausts. As you can tell, the ports, the exhaust ports are smaller than the intake. Here we got the solid lifters, which we're going to clean with WD-40. Okay, we got this lifter labeled exhaust 1, which will be inserted on the other side. But for right now, we're going to focus on doing the intakes first. We can go ahead and clean the outside, then inside the lifter. That's where the valve sits, right there, which also needs to be cleaned up. Then we can use this magnet to pick up the lifter. Next up is putting oil around the edges, as you can see here. So this lifter is intake number 1. Alright guys, now it's time to grease up all the camshaft saddles since this head is getting ready for final assembly. I like to go ahead and use brake cleaner to clean up the label lifters, because it honestly works the best when cleaning up the markings. So sometimes when parts have been sitting outside, usually the wind will blow dust and get into the parts. For example, like these small oil galleries can get clogged, which is why I like to blow some compressed air just to be safe. Now let's go ahead and wipe down the camshafts with WD-40. Then I like to inspect the lobes one last time before it's installed inside the head. I pretty much just check if it's pitted, warped, and if it has any grooves. Here's a trick so you know where exactly it goes. So that means 1. So the camshaft sprockets need to face the timing, which is where the chain actually sits, so we know that we're installing them in the correct position. Preferably, it's best to install the cams when the lobes are not putting the valves and springs under pressure, or directly adding a load. So the guys explained to me that when you install both cams, make sure to have the first cam lobes on both cams to face away from each other. So when you're going to go ahead and rotate the camshafts, the valve head isn't going to make contact with the other valve head. This is important because once there's pressure, the valve heads will get stuck and bend if they get into contact. Now it's time to pre-lube the cam since we don't want a dry startup. Alright guys, let's go ahead and install the cam caps. Here we have a cam cap labeled intake number 4. It's crucial that we hand tighten down the bolts first to make sure we don't cross thread and strip anything. I like to make sure I didn't leave out any parts uncleaned, so I made sure to clean the timing cap saddles and bearing before laying it over the cams. So a quick cleanup and inspection on the timing cap bolts. Same goes for these bolts as well. You'll want to hand tighten them down first. When you're assembling, the order is the opposite. So this time we're starting off center and working our way out just like you see here. First you want to tighten down the cam caps, and once that's complete, we can move on to tightening down the timing cap, making sure that the bolts are tightened down evenly. So what I mean by this is that we can't just tighten and bring everything down in one single round. The proper way to do this procedure is we need to do multiple rounds of tightening down the bolts so that we can evenly bring down the camshafts and cam caps. So once the cam caps are tightened down equally, then you can start center for the last time and work your way out to bring them all the way down. Next up is the timing cap, so just follow the same procedure. So when it's done this way, you can walk away knowing that it was done right. Okay y'all, let's move on to torquing down the bolts. We want to start at the center and work our way out. I probably feel the coolest when I'm doing this part of a cylinder head rebuild. This cylinder head is ready to get sent out. Next up is the second set of the Kia 2.4 liter. Let's get it done. Alright y'all, this was fun. Thank y'all for joining. And remember, it's not your job to make people understand what your purpose is. First Class 1972, signing out.